Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I want to do a makeup look really inspired by autumn, even though it's the depths of summer right now. But I was just like looking at some pictures of autumn and I was like, I just really feel like doing a makeup look like that. I have in my mind sort of a color palette vision, which is like taupey, sort of gray eye and like a glossy burgundy dark lip. Using the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude palette. I feel like there's some really great neutrals in here. Nothing too warm or cool, which is great and flattering for a lot of people. Do love summer for like really fresh looks, really bright lips, that kind of thing. But sometimes you gotta shake it up a little. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you're interested, keep on watching and consider subscribing if you wanna watch more videos like this. Starting off with the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. This is always a great way to stay hydrated and create like a tackiness on your skin for makeup, but it's not like greasy. This makeup look's going to be like pretty like heavy-handed, so I find going in with like a matte base is always just like great to have that canvas, and then if you want to add glow, you do it later. I'll be using my Charlotte Tilbury color corrector. I use this every day. It's really subtle way to cancel out discoloration around the eye. And then I find I don't have to use as much concealer in the eye area, which is great for like preventing creasing. And then the Estee Lauder Double Wear. This is in the shade Ivory Nude, full coverage foundation. I talked about this in another video, but in summer I do like matte and I do like full coverage because I just find the wear time is a lot better, especially when you've got layers of greasy sunscreen under and you're out in the sun. This is what I am calling the anti-summer makeup. I don't know about you guys, but there is something really magical for me about fall and fall colors. Like it really ignites this creativity in me. Like even when I look at pictures of autumn, let me know in the comments down below if you feel that way about a particular season or like a particular color palette. I just find it so evocative. In areas where I find I'm like prone to redness or scarring or whatever, I like to pat on like an extra layer of coverage like this, like buff it into the skin. And then kind of spread it out. And the forehead's an area like it is prone to like general redness, but I don't like to do too much coverage there because it'll really easily settle into like creases. So keeping this light as I can. Keeping with the matte theme, I'm gonna go in with the NARS Soft Matte in Chantilly. I really don't need much, but I will add just like that extra bit of coverage where I want to like brighten, maybe like here under the eye, bringing anything left on the brush across the eye, and then a couple kind of blemishy areas, just like barely stippling on the product. It's probably not even something you can see on camera, but it's something I can see close up. For the brows, I'm going to keep them more neutral rather than using the warmer brow powder I like to use. Sometimes I find when I'm doing more of a, this isn't exactly a cool look, but like something leaning a bit more cool, it's nice sometimes to lean into a neutral shaded brow because I feel like it looks more harmonious like in the eye area rather than like a warm gingery brow and then like the cool eyeshadow. So I'm going to go in with the Urban Decay Brow Blade in Taupe. I'm going to start with the pencil end and just do a soft fill where I tend to have like gaps. I feel like I've been on a bit of a brow journey lately, just figuring out who they are, who they want to be. Then again, it's nice to just shake it up. Sometimes a bolder brow, sometimes something softer. You can go warmer, you can go cooler. Then I'm going to go in with a brow gel to set these in place. This is just the 24-hour brow setter from Benefit. I'm going to wait for that to dry, and then I'm going to go in with the brow pen to just flick in a couple extra more defined parts of the brow. I like to add extra lines here because that's where my brow on this side like just has some strange gapping. And then like the tail, it's very subtle, sort of like the concealer. Okay, for complexion, I'm gonna add a little bit of contouring, nothing crazy, with Patrick Ta. She's statuesque. It's been a while since I brought this one out, but as you can see, well panned this section of it, which is a little bit cooler. Since doing those Bridgerton tutorials, I have been kind of liking to do a contour that goes a little bit further down and just really honors like my facial structure, which is like fuller cheeks. I think it's nice to emphasize them. Sometimes there's this instinct or this maybe desire to hide parts of our features. Like there is so much buccal fat removal going on in Hollywood, and like it's all about looking very like snatched. I don't know, when you fight your natural features, it can just be sort of upsetting and discouraging, rather than when you just work with what you have. For blush, I'm gonna do something a little bit counterintuitive for me, and I hope it works out. Basically, when I do a look like this, sometimes I'll like really create a harmony with everything in terms of like, okay, so I'm doing an autumn look, I'm gonna go for like a more subdued kind of blush. But I'm gonna try something different where I'm actually gonna do a very sort of summery shade. This is from Tower 28, it's called Happy Hour. And I'm just curious how like the really like vibrancy of this on the cheek might bring some vibrancy to the more muted tones, if that makes sense. Just sort of bringing a certain level of freshness, even summeriness to these autumn tones that are going to be on the eye and lip. We'll see if this has any effect. I don't know. This is just a little bit of experimentation, but this shade is really great for a very vibrant cheek. Because I don't know, sometimes when I do like a more subdued blush in general, I just always want more blush, and then I end up applying more and more and more and more. So let's just go for it. From the first moment, I'm gonna go in with the One Size setting powder. I'm dusting this lightly, actually, over all of the face, really. And then keeping with my experiment of like this fresher complexion, I'm gonna go in with the Rare Beauty Luminous Blush in Cheer. This is like a blush with highlighter in it. Like you can see, if you haven't heard of this one, it's got some luminosity to it. As someone with textured skin, I go in with a really light hand. So I'll go in with a brush, tap it off a touch, and keep it a little bit higher on the cheekbone rather than bringing it down to where the other blush is, just a little bit here. I was very nervous to try this product, and it was all over my feed, and it looks so gorgeous, and I was like, oh, it's not gonna work for me, but you can often find a way things will work for you. And this is how I use it, just a little bit higher. And I love the subtle luminosity it gives. I think it's really pretty. So similar to the whole base I just did here with like starting with something really matte and bright, I'm gonna do the same thing with the eyes. Personally, when I do a heavier eye makeup, I do like to find ways to integrate a little bit of like brightness and freshness to it, even when I'm doing like this sort of vampire look. So I'm gonna do two things. One is like get a really bright inner corner and like brow bone with probably this white. Maybe I'll soften it a touch with this more yellow. This is the Hindash Beautopsy palette. You guys have probably seen this so many times because it's just a really staple palette I love. If I need a bit more smoke, a little bit more brightness, a little bit, you know, of blending. Anyway, I love this palette, so it's always kind of like aiding other palettes for me. And then all over the lid, I'm gonna go into the I Need a Nude and this shade here. I will start with this one, then brighten with the other one. This one was kind of just like my skin color in a way. With an eyeshadow look, I always like to have that base of some kind of powder happening all over the lid, whether it's something translucent, because it makes blending on top of it a lot easier. And then getting this bright inner corner. And I'll probably end up going back in at the end to re-emphasize this. Then I'm gonna start smoking it out already. I'm gonna start along the lash line with a bit of a winging shape. I don't really have a full plan. We're gonna see how this goes, but starting with this shade here, like the medium taupe, and then darkening with this one. This is one of my favorite brushes, by the way. This is from the KJH Spectrum, the 21 brush. It's like a smaller pencil brush. As you can see, it already has like some shadow on it, because it's like my go-to smoking out the lash line brush. So I'm gonna start with that lighter taupe. I'm just gonna start blending, getting some depth happening here. So like I was saying earlier with like finding that, I like to find a balance with having some brightness with a smoky look. I kind of realized that's like an aesthetic in general I'm trying to straddle. Like if you've been here a while, you know I love moody and witchy things. But then there's this side of me that loves like a cottagecore type of moment, very Bridgerton moment. So part of my goal in the coming months with my makeup style is really just like emphasizing that balance I love to find between that grungy glam, just countered by sort of a freshness. That's what this look is kind of about. So I'm being a little bit messy with this. Like this isn't a precise wing. I'm just starting to extend the eye shape with like this messy kind of shading. Then I'm gonna feather that a little bit, bringing some of that shadow a bit higher into the crease a little bit. So now I'm going to start darkening it even more with that darkest shade in the palette. With an angled brush, I'm going to extend that a little bit. Oh, I stole this brush from my mother by accident. That's funny. Before I go much darker or further with the shading, I do want to see how a shimmer is going to play with this. And I'm going to go in with this one here, Muse. So a little bit of glitter glue. I'm thinking of keeping it more on the outer part of the eye first. We'll see. Maybe I'll bring it in further, but sometimes it's nice just to have a bit of shimmer like right here rather than across the whole lid. Oops, I brought it a bit over. That's okay. I'm always shocked how bright this shimmer is, in a good way. It looks dark in the pan, like I even remembered it being a bit darker, but it's not. So I'm also gonna go in with Ella here to get a bit darker of a shimmer. This is really pretty as it is, but I do want to make it a little bit darker. So what I always find when I go in with shimmers, it kind of goes on top of, you know, the shading. So sometimes you want to be a bit more heavy-handed to begin with, or if you find you want to, you know, deepen it up a little bit more, I'm going to go back in with that first like mid-tone taupey shade. And when you're going over a shimmer, you want to do a bit more of a patting motion to prevent fallout. I just feel like I want a little bit more of that smokiness back in there. And then same goes for that darkest shade, especially right here. Flat dense brush, bit of that concealer from before. I'm gonna go under this. Before I go in with lashes, I'm going to go back in with these brightening shades to re-emphasize them in the inner corner. Just really stamping it in there. The brow bone. Leaving the lower lash line blank for now, because once again, I find that helps balance like a more intense eye look by, you know, keeping the smoke on top of the eye. So I'm going to leave that blank and put some lashes on. Lash tutorial coming soon, in-depth lash tutorial. But a bit of mascara, a bit of a half lash, and let's see how a deep burgundy glossy lip is going to look with all of this. I'm going to go in with Versatile Chestnut from Makeup Forever. I've used this a lot before, but I'm going to go in a lot more heavy-handed than I usually do, taking up most of the lip with this shade and feathering it in so that there's a little bit of room in the center for the red lipstick. Kind of using the side of the pencil to begin that feathering. Now I'm going to go in with Fenty Fireproof. I did a whole video on this lipstick a while ago because it's just a really stunning color. I'm going to just put it on my pinky finger. Get it in the center there. Not my pinky, my ring finger. Hell yeah. Oh, so pretty. Okay, I'm obsessed with this. This is giving exactly what I wanted, but I do want to just push it a little bit more over the top even with a bit of a gloss. Just a touch. This is kind of an odd shade maybe to layer, but it'll contribute to that muted tone. This is Tower 28 Almond, by the way. And this is the finished makeup look. Okay, I'm obsessed. This is exactly what I wanted. And I do think it was a good call to try that vibrant cheek pairing. I just feel like it brings a certain liveliness to the look, which was my intention. So I'm really happy to see that come together. It's kind of a learning moment for me, like, oh, pairing that more vibrant blush kind of marries the look in a way that feels more harmonious for me. You know, I don't like to put too much stock in the color seasons thing, but I do think I may be a spring. So having that vibrancy and the sort of bright warmth happening on the cheeks, I think makes it easier for someone like me to rock a deeper, moodier look. This is a new theory of mine. I'm gonna try it out in the future. We'll see. Let me know in the comments down below your thoughts. I hope you liked this tutorial. Don't forget to say your favorite season and what colors and tones and moods you're inspired by, because it can always be really fun to tap into. I love doing that. And yeah, that's it for today. If you want to like, comment, and subscribe, it really helps me, helps support the channel. And until next time, may you find a little bit of makeup magic, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, witches.